And that brings us.
Yes, all right. So, again, we're going to go through the Cox Plate runner by runner. All 9 runners we're going to be going through and telling you why it can win, why it can't win, who's the winner, and then who's our first 4. Again, at any point, guys, if you want to comment who you think is going to win, if you're listening right now, head over to YouTube, comment who is winning the Cox Plate. If you do so, you get 1 entry into our Dabble merch giveaway. If it wins, you get 5 entries. It's as simple as that, guys. We managed to snag Bella Nipotina last week with the runner by runner. Didn't snag the Caulfield Cup winner, so we're 1-1 at the moment. Let's try and go 2-1 here and find the Cox Plate winner, mate. I'll quickly go through the speed map for the Cox Plate. Prior to Jenni, obviously going to be at the front. No matter what Tony Otterbury says, surely she's going to the front. I would be absolutely shocked if she takes a sit. If she does take a sit, she's lost the race. Her only way to win this race is to do her thing and roll forward. Are there going to be horses that are going to pressure her? Potentially a Docklands, more likely a Royal Patronage. Behind them will be the chasing pack of a Mr Brightside and via Sistina. Broadsiding and Evaporate are either going to be behind them or might be in front of them. With that, they like to get back those horses, but considering that they have such light weights, I wouldn't be surprised if they push forward. I'm predicting they do push forward, but the speed map says here they're going to be more off pace. Then Prognosis and Kovalica are the ones to be behind then. It's going to be a very bunched field, I would think. You know, sitting last isn't going to be like 6-7 lengths last unless Prior to Jenni's off 10 lengths in front. I think it's going to be Prior to Jenni, couple lengths back, very bunched field. So key facts, if you're into that sort of thing, 61 of the past 85 winners have jumped from barrier 7 or shorter. In the last 32 editions, the favourites won 11 times. 4 of the last 9 winners have been internationally trained. Only 1 horse in the last 14 years has finished worse than 3rd in their final lead-up race to go on to win. And then 10 of the last 25 Cox Plate winners have been female horses. So your Prior to Jenni's and your VS Sistinas there, and, you know, don't discount them just because they are female. First runner in the field, Mr Brightside, barrier 2, Hayes trained, Williams ridden, $8 to win, $2.25 to place. What are your thoughts?
Contender for me. I know you won't be, but I think he did enough to. He almost won. I know he got beaten at Caulfield by Deny Knowledge, but look, almost got there. Ran out the 2,000 meters enough. I can't call him a pretender. Brightside's a contender for me.
Look, we all know it was going to happen. Pretender. It's the only horse that I can confidently say is not winning this race. Yes, Moonee Valley is the only track that he has a good 2,000 meter run at, that being last year's Cox Plate, but he's 0-6 in this distance. I've said it time and time again. I just don't think he's a 2,000 meter horse. I'll be very happy to be wrong because he's such a war horse. He's just a stalwart of the racing industry. He's been an icon of the last couple of years. For him to finally get a Cox Plate, that would be very nice, especially for the trainers as well. So I'll be happy to be wrong, but I just don't think he's a 2,000 metre horse. I think he's going to be 0-7 at 2,000 metres after this race. Narrow placing at best. I think the best he can do is get a narrow 2nd and 3rd like last year.
Fair enough.
Second horse in the field, your current $3.40 favourite. You've got Prognosis out of barrier 5. Nakachita trained. Damien Lane's going to ride here. Pretender or contender, Nick?
Yeah, contender. It's fallen behind Romantic Warrior not too long ago, and Romantic Warrior. We all obviously know the talent there. These internationals coming through. Damien Lane, world-class jockey. You just can't call this a pretender. It's a definite contender, if not the leading one. They've set it up nicely for this race. It's had a run this prep as well over in Japan. Obviously, traveling from Japan, it's not too far. It's only a couple of hours, really.
Easier trip than from the UK.
Yeah, so not too bad. Prognosis, definite contender.
Yeah, always need to respect the international runners in the Cox Plate. Like we heard that stat earlier, 4 of the last 9 have been international raiders. Is he better than Romantic Warrior? Probably not. But like you said, wasn't far behind him earlier this year. So that's great form to come off. The only thing is, Nick, he has a bit of Solcombe syndrome, this horse. Loves to miss the jump. Loves to miss the jump. He also is very much so known for some very bad yard and barrier manners. So will he be able to handle all the noise and all the lights of Cox Plate Day? I say yes, because he's raced on very big days over in Japan and Hong Kong. So I feel like that won't be too much of an issue. It's just the missing the jump. If he misses the jump, I can't see him beating this field. If he jumps with them, boy, he'll be hard to beat.
Yeah.
Number 3, Kovalica, barrier 9, Chris Waller trained, Mark Zara ridden, $26 to win, $5.50 to place. What are your thoughts?
Too hard for him. Kovalica, he's good work getting a run in this race, but you should not be in this race, Kovalica.
I'm going to say Pretender, but I can 100% see him slashing down the outside and grabbing 4th here, or maybe even a narrow 3rd. I think this is probably more of a trial run before he potentially heads to a Melbourne Cup. I've had a 5 run him at $50 in case he heads to the Melbourne Cup, because, once he finally gets back to a staying trip, maybe we'll finally see the Kovalica of his 3-year-old season. Like I said, I don't think him being sat last, because he'll be sitting last, I don't think he's going to be too far back. But considering tripping over my words here, punters. Considering the turn of foot that some of these horses have going around into that last sort of 100 meters, I think they'll just be able to out-sprint him for that little bit before he can catch them. That's why I reckon maybe 4th, 3rd at best for him. We move to race... Horse 4, Royal Patronage, barrier 3, Gay Waterhouse, Adrian Bott train, Mickey D to ride, $31 to win. Thoughts?
Contender, I reckon.
Really?
Yeah, a bit of a surprise here.
Is that just because he's a leader?
Yeah, I think so. On this track, he's not too bad. His 3rd run, I know it was at the 1600 behind Tom Kitten and Joel Wolf. Was at a 17th barrier as well, which I think is so impressive to lead from that barrier and then only get snagged by some sweepers, and didn't do too bad in the Epsom either. So that was the Epsom. Sorry,
the Hill Stakes.
In the Hill Stakes, sorry, behind Attrition, and Kovalica. I'll give him a chance. He's international horse that's come over. See how he goes.
I'm going to say Pretender just because I can't really see him running out a strong 2000. He didn't quite run out the 1900 in the Hill Stakes. He wasn't too bad, but the fact that he's a go-ahead horse, he's going to need to keep up with a hectic Pride of Jenni, you would think. My prediction, messes with Pride of Jenni for a while, tries and presses her, then likely bombs out towards the back late. But if he can somehow sustain that distance and sustain that strong run, he can certainly fall into the placings from a pure fact that he's an on-pacer. But I just don't think that he gets his nose in front. Hence, here's a Pretender. Number 5, Docklands, the second of the international raiders here. Barrier 1, Eustace train, Shin to ride, $19 to win, $4 to place. Thoughts?
I'm going to give this a miss. I just can't go with every single horse. I do not mind it. I just think the international form, they haven't sent their best horse over. It's come behind. It hasn't really done too well. Like its last run at the 2100 came 7th behind some horses that I'm not too sure how they run. I don't know my international form at all. But I just think there's better chances here. Blake Shin's a plus, but yeah, I'm gonna go Pretender.
He's the cutoff for me contender wise. He's the one that scares me the most, labeling him a Pretender. Just because he is that international. So he's the cutoff for me because his best form's over the mile. But Blake Shin is Blake Shin. We've seen crazier things happen. He could definitely get up on a broomstick, so he can get up on this horse. It depends as well what he does from that first gate. Can push forward, can sit back a little bit. I think he probably does press forward and ride the speed and see if he can fall into the placings, but I think a win's beyond him. Like I said, crazy things have happened, but he would be one of the few to kind of surprise me a little bit if he gets his whiskers in front. Happy to put him in exotics though. Number 6, Pride of Jenni, barrier 7, Mayor Train, Bates ridden, $4.60. $1.62 if you like a placing for her. What are your thoughts?
Contender, leading contender. We got a lot of futures on her on our shared account, which is pretty cool. But yeah, she's a leading chance. Moonee Valley, been looking at this race for the whole year. Contender. Don't know how you can say she's not. And even if she's not, top 3, almost 100%.
Yeah.
Like, you can't leave her out of your trifecta play at all.
What do you do with her? She was vulnerable last start and got beat. Was brave to hold on a second, though. Has it gassed her? We won't know till race time. Has the week back up in 2 states affected her negatively? We won't know till race time. Will she not try and lead by 10 lengths like usual? I think she will, but again, we won't know till race time. You could ask as many questions about her as you can about Via Sistina, and I'll get to her in a minute. But look, you have to put a contender simply from the fact that she's the perfect horse from the Valley. We saw that in the Fan Stakes. If they let her have her own way with it and get so far in front, they simply won't be able to run her down, you'd think. I don't think she will get it her own way, though. But you cannot for a second pen her. You cannot for a second rule her out. And like you said, I'll be very surprised to see her anywhere but the top 3. Might not win, but if she's not in the finish, I'll be very, very surprised.
Fair enough.
Number 7, Via Sistina, Barrier 4, Chris Waller trained, J-Mac ridden, $4.40, second favourite currently, $1.57 to place. Arguably was the horse to beat other than Prognosis headed into this until what happened on Tuesday. Mate, very, very strange scenes. Got spooked by a broken bandage, dropped J-Mac, and then proceeded to do 3 laps at full speed around Moonee Valley. Has that scared you off, or are you ignoring that?
I'm not too sure. I looked into it a little bit and I saw Glenn Boss come out and say, it's not, I wouldn't say it's normal, but it happens more often than people think. It's just that because it's Cox Plate weekend.
And it's on live TV.
So I'll go contender. I don't know how it'll affect it. Hint, my money won't be there, but she's a good chance. She's been looking for this race as well. Just want to touch before we go to the next runner. Do you think Buckaroo should be in this race? I reckon if it didn't run in the Caulfield Cup, it could be in this field and I'd be like, yeah.
You think Cox Plate instead of the Cups?
Yeah.
I think it would have added a different element to this race for sure. I don't know if it wins, but it definitely would have made it a bit more interesting. It would have taken some horses out and brought more into the equation. It would have been very interesting. I
thought it ran very, very strongly over the 2000, almost ran down Via Sistina last start, obviously, which was a great run in my opinion. I just think with that, I would have gone, unless they're really looking at that Melbourne Cup like, yep, this Caulfield Cup is actually fitness.
Yeah, you got to see if it presses on to the Melbourne here.
I would have gone Cox Plate and gone, yep, Buckaroo.
As your tip?
Not as my tip. Like if I was an owner or a trainer, I would have gone, yep, Cox Plate looks to be the good one.
Yeah, it's a fair call. It is a fair call. It's had a couple of good runs over, 1,600 to 2,000. So, look, Tuesday was just such a whirlwind. She was out, she was in, she's hurt, she's not hurt, she's fine. This happens all the time. This never happens. She's likely to run, she's not likely to run. There's no dramas here is eventually the last call that come out of the camp. The physios checked her, she's fine. I saw it even on the news. That's how much attention it was getting. She went for a swim today and apparently she's fine. We won't know till race morning if she's going to race. That's what Waller has said. All signs are pointing to her running. I feel like what happened, it would have done one of two things. It would have gotten her super, super fit and ready to ping, and she might come out and dominate them just because she's got that much added fitness in the legs compared to the rest of them. Or it's gassed her and she's cooked. And again, we won't know till race time. If she comes out and she loses, obviously there's an excuse. If she comes out and wins, what's the drama?
Will that affect her price as well? So if you do like it, it might. You never know.
It doesn't seem to have affected her price. She was trading over the board at like $8 once it happened, but she's come in since. Now that the call that it's all fine, she's come in. Look. It's hard to take her off that drama, but they won't run her unless she's absolutely perfect. And if she is, you have to trust that her best form can get her right in the finish here. So I'm going to trust that if she does run, she's good to go and she can definitely be in the finish.
Fair enough.
We move to the 3-year-olds now to finish us off. Number 8, Broadsiding, out of barrier 8. Jamie Carr rides here, $6 to win, $1.88 to place.
Contender, I think the weight really, really helps. I thought J-Mac on last start. He just didn't ride it in the way that the track was playing. Probably didn't react to the the way that the tempo was racing, I think he just got a bit too far back and it ran home well. I think Jamie Carr will put him in the right spot. 49.5 kilos. Animo vibes, man. Contender.
You have to think from that barrier, he uses the lightweight and just gets a bit more in pace instead of riding for luck all the way at the back like they did in the Guineas. The Guineas run wasn't ideal, but all that weight off the back now and the change of tactics that I think is going to happen, I think it's only going to help. Should get the distance. 3-year-olds typically run there or thereabouts thanks to the feathers on their back. I think you certainly can't rule him out. My money won't be on him, but he definitely has the chance to be there or thereabouts. So contender. And we move to Evaporate, horse number 9, barrier number 6. Hayes trained. Teton comes out to ride this all the way from Hong Kong, out of nowhere. This horse wasn't even going to be in the Cox Plate, and they said, no, we're going to accept, and Karis Teton's going to come over and ride it. So it's paying $21 to win, $4.20. Before I ask if it's a pretender or contender, Nick, why is this horse $21 and broadsiding $6 when they had almost identical runs in the Guineas and they have almost identical setups here?
Because broadsiding is the people's favourite.
You think just the punters get around it more because...
Well, that's the way odds work.
Yeah, it's a fair call. But do you think that Evaporate is overs at 21s considering broadsiding's at $6, or you just think broadsiding's that much better?
Look, I'd like to see broadside. I think broadsiding's at the right price. I think Evaporate... broadsiding should probably be about $10, and I'd say Evaporate around 15, 16, personally. But look, I don't do that for a reason. I'm going to go pretender only because I need to give some more pretenders out. Otherwise, I'll have the whole field being contenders. I just think ran its best. It's done all it can. There's not much for me that really sticks to me that goes, you can beat some of the horses here. Where I think broadsiding has that look to it, especially with that first up win in the Golden Rose, where he looked like a real champion horse that you just see winners win, like we say. And Evaporate, I know it's won some good starts, but it didn't really have that charisma that I felt when broadsiding won that first up win. So I got to go pretender for me.
I'm just going to go contender because if I'm saying broadsiding's contender, this horse has the exact same setup. It had almost a better run in the Guineas, you can argue. The distance is the query, but if he gets the distance, I can't see why he can't run into the placings, and getting his whiskers in front wouldn't shock me in the slightest. He's also 3 from 3 at the Valley. He's got Valley form, which a bunch of these horses don't have. So, I mean, that's a plus. I have to say he's a contender to finish off the field here. So, after all of that, we've gone through all 9 horses now, mate. Who's you picking? Why?
I'm going broadsiding. $6 for the win.
Had a feeling you'd be there.
I'm a big believer that good horses win no matter what, and they find their way. I know the last run in the Guineas was a negative, but I think we'll bounce back well. Has been looking for this race. Everything was fitness for this race since autumn pretty much. So Jamie Carr hopping on 49 kilos, absolute feathers, drops 7.5 kilos from its last run. That's a lot for a horse. I know it gets an extra, I think it's the extra 400, but broadsiding for me, I think can get it done. I'm hoping the price gets a bit better though.
Look, call me crazy, guys, but I'm going with this based on the fact that if she runs, she's 100% good to go. I'm going to stick with Via Sistina. I'm going to quickly say that if she doesn't run on the day because she doesn't come up well and they scratch her, I'll be on Prognosis. But I'm hoping that Waller knows what he's doing. If she's good to go, she's good to go. And I think she was, in my opinion, the horse to beat other than Prognosis coming into this on her best. So I'm taking her on that best Via Sistina for me. If she can keep up with them and keep up with that tempo, which I think she'll be able to, since I don't think Pride of Jenni's going to be 15 lengths out in front like the last couple times they've met. I think Via Sistina can, really run her down. And we know that 2,000 metres is her best. So J-Mac's going to get his 100th Group 1 here. But again, like I said, if for some reason she comes out I'm just going to stick with Prognosis, the international raider. Favourite might be boring, but he was my second pick, so I'll have to revert to him. All right, mate. One last thing. Who's your first 4 across the line?
First 4 across the line, I'll go Broadsiding, Pride of Jenni. I'll go Royal Patronage, and I'll go Brightside.
Fair enough.
Bit of
Royal
value around there.
Patronage to run in the trifecta. Jeez, get around that. Dabble, of course.
No, that was any order.
Will be
Any
our
order.
trifectas.
That was
that was
not-
any order.
Boxed.
Boxed.
Box it up. Box it up.
Box that baby up. First 4 for me: Via Sistina, Prognosis, Pride of Jenni, and then Broadsiding. So
The first 4 prices.
call me boring, but
If it wins, it still pays well.
yeah, call me
First
boring, but that's how we go.